furthermore, speaking of things you try to wrap your head around, folks, and this is coming from me as a teacher, we have teachers' unions voting on mandatory masking, enemies list rejecting words like mother and father. Folks, I got to walk you through this. I'm right there with you on everything. I don't understand it. Look, I just want to teach mathematics. That's all I want to do. I don't want to inject politics unless I'm teaching finance, because politics does affect your finances. When I'm teaching stats, algebra, geometry, whatever it may be, there's really no politics involved. Nothing. But it's tiring. It is tiring. Listen to all this. I'm not part of the union, okay? I'm not a part of the union. It says here, the National Education Association, NEA, annual conference is underway, and the teachers union is voting on calling for a national policy of mandating masking, creating an enemies list, and rejecting the words mother and father. If you're wondering what an enemies list is, I actually have no idea, so I'm hoping to figure out as we go through this together. The Chicago conference is chock full of woke agenda items, shocking, and progressive language involving issues that would seem to have little to do with the proper education of the nation's children. The leftist organization doesn't seem to recognize its own heterosexual male membership. At least according to one measure in circulation, the NEA is a social justice union that is a majority female and trans and gender non-conforming. That is according to the New Business Initiative, the NBI, saying that it's calling to publicly stand in defense of abortion. I couldn't even get those words out because I was so damn baffled at that statement. Publicly stand in defense of abortion and calling abortion limits an attack on student families and communities. What a statement. What a statement. We're still pushing this whole abortion thing. As to far what abortion has to do with teaching, I have no idea, folks. Again, I'm right there with you. There's a lot of teachers that are along with all of you going, what the hell is going on? What has happened to our education system? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. It's the Democrats, the left, that want to sit there and push all these certain narratives, CRT, LGBTQ+, have drag queens twerk and do all these sexualized dances and barely wear anything in front of your children. They want to teach your children in 2nd to 5th grade how to masturbate utilizing cartoons. You just had another person pushing this whole thing of how to have little girls play with their parts and how to do it right, like correctly at such a young age, like 9 or under. All this crazy stuff being pushed on these kids, and it's all coming from one party. Look, conservatives and Democrats, conservatives and Republicans don't want this. It's just Democrats and the left. Again, I just want to have kids go to school and learn about history, learn about biology correctly, learn about chemistry, physics, mathematics, technology, learn how to write, learn how to spell, learn how to say things correctly, do all sorts of things. Ain't happening anymore, folks. It's all dominated by the left. Another calls for a national policy of mandatory masking in COVID vaccines in schools, as well as high-quality virtual education for immunocompromised students and all families who want it. A third says that NEA will publicize its commitment to young people's right to learn about and develop their own sexual orientation and gender identity. Folks, it's endless. It's endless on how many genders and identities this left wing of the country thinks. I mean, it's endless. I just did a video yesterday, last night, where a girl identifies as a bird, and her pronouns, I couldn't even remember them. There's so many pronouns now. The list is endless. There's no way in hell you can remember not just somebody's name, but all the different pronouns they want, and then how many pronouns they want to switch to throughout the day as well. When you have over 200 students a day, you're supposed to memorize all their pronouns individually and know what they identify as so that you don't offend them by accident. You're literally being set up for failure is what you are. A fourth promotes language that the LGBTQIA plus inclusive, including using birthing parent and non-birthing parent instead of mother and father. Ugh. Other initiatives call for spending $140,000 on opposition research about the largest 25 organizations that are actively working to diminish a student's right to honesty in education, freedom of sexual identity, and teacher autonomy. As far as what that means, I don't know. Again, it goes in that idea of using the word assault weapon. A lot of this language is vague, and they do that. There is a war on language right now from the left, and it is powerful. There's a great book by Michael Knowles called Speechless, and it talks a lot about political correctness and how basically political correctness was started around Mao's time and maybe a little bit before, and how he utilized that himself to push a Marxist idea upon his people, and we all know how that ended. So that's what they're doing now. They've infiltrated our schools. They're utilizing language to cater to a certain demographic. They're changing things. And basically, those that are growing up now, and we're going to see the impact of this from 10 years plus, multiple decades of basically changing the idea of gender identity, sex, biology, language. I mean, it goes on and on. This is a massive problem, folks. NBIs are proposals that must be voted on by delegates in order to pass. The NEA has previously been radical in what it passes. Check this out. In 2019, to give a kind of an example here, it voted down a motion to rededicate itself to the pursuit of increased student learning. Yeah. let me just tell you again. I know you're probably going, what did you just say? I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, Brad. In 2019, it voted down a motion to rededicate itself to the pursuit of increased student learning. Yes. Yeah, you heard me correct. It voted in favor, meanwhile, of discussions around support for reparations and incorporating the concept of white fragility in NEA trainings. So if you're wondering why education is not going in the right direction, this is probably why. Each year's NBIs had previously been public on the NEA's website, but it abruptly yanked last year's offline after parents noticed that it was voted to approve a resolution to oppose attempts to ban critical race theory and to provide a study that critiques capitalism and other forms of power and oppression. For the parents that are listening, in almost, I'm going to say every school, but almost every school I've gone into, students are being taught that socialism is good, communism is all right, capitalism is bad. So it is being taught that way. I've heard from hundreds of students that it's being taught that way. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've done my own study, just asking students. This is from well more than over 5 schools. So it is happening, and they're going against our country. They're going against our creed, and it's being taught to your children. I can only say it so many times. It's as if nobody wants to believe what I'm saying. If you need to homeschool your kid, you got to do what you got to do, because I'm telling you, the indoctrination's real. You're hearing it from a teacher themselves. Thank God the school that I work at doesn't promote this stuff. I'm not gonna say what school I work at, but the school I work at is amazing. I'm not just saying that if people find out what school I'm at. The school that I work supports their students. The teachers support them. They're not indoctrinating them. They're teaching them what they need to know, and the kids are phenomenal. I love all my students, and they treat you with respect, okay? They treat you with respect, and you treat them back with respect, and you inculcate values that our country was founded on. You don't push morality, certain moral things upon them. You just teach them the things that you need to teach them that abide by the standards. None of this woke ideology, nothing. You just teach them, and it's amazing, which is why I'm always in a good mood doing the Bald Brad Show, because I have a great place of employment. The NEA did not return a request for comment on why the NBIs are no longer public. And we know why they're no longer public. They don't want to be ousted. They don't want people to know what the heck's going on. The NEA has previously promoted Saul Alinsky's Rules of Radicals, highlighting his passage, "If you have a vast organization, parade it before the enemy. Openly show your power." So the fight is being waged, folks, in the education system. Before, it was just in the political sphere, maybe left at home, maybe in certain organizations, corporations. It depends throughout history. But for a long time now, they've done a massive, massive undertaking of taking over our education system. If you're a conservative or Republican in the education system, you're a dime a dozen. It is hard to find somebody to talk to about politics because everybody hates you. Everybody hates you because you're white. I mean, I literally heard this in a meeting that, quote, "We are so tired of hearing old, dead white men and reading their books. We need to have more inclusive books within our classroom." And I mean, I heard everybody gasp going, "I can't believe I just heard a fellow employee say that." That's the type of people they are. It's left-wing ideology. Doesn't mean you can't have a cordial conversation with the person that said that. Doesn't mean you can't still love them and treat them with respect. But hey, their ideology is going to be destructive. They just haven't seen it yet. So there you have it, folks. All sorts of shenanigans happening from the left and Democrat Party in trying to run our country into the ground. You're still going to have a lot of people vote for Joe Biden. You're going to still have a lot of people that love him more than Trump, which again, like I said, you try to wrap your head around. There's a lot of other Democrats out there that can have and do a better job than Joe Biden can. But hey, they're going to chauffeur out Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Ilhan Omar, AOC, all these fanaticals, these crazies, these psychos. But hey, you know what? We're the psychos, we're the crazies, according to all of them. So I guess both sides aren't going to meet in the middle. So with that being said, I will see you later here on The Bald Brad Show. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.